Hello everyone, this is Hakaym and welcome back to some more World of Warships, and today I have a replay with the new and upcoming work in progress. I should probably go ahead and have it up in the corner. Work in progress Bart, and this ship is actually being currently captained by Mr. Ton Mao, and he is going to be having a good game with this ship. Now, the Bart is once again a work in progress, so a lot of its stats can and possibly will change in the future. But generally imagine a tier 8 Richelieu with increased AA guns as a tier 9. The most major thing that's obviously different about her, and I will have to say I like the way she looks. I think she looks really cool. Most major difference is she has a specific and unique consumable, the reload module for your main guns. So very similar to how the torpedo reload module works, same thing applies. So instead of every 26 seconds when you pop the consumable, as we will see on multiple occasions, the turrets are able to reload, I believe, within about 5 seconds. And are able to obviously deal out another salvo when a target is not expecting a battleship to open up. Now keep in mind the Jean has the same caliber guns as the Richelieu. It has the essentially Bismarck caliber guns. So once again, it's very similar to how the Richelieu is in its aspect of its guns. The placements are exact same. So in a lot of ways, it's very, very similar. You have a decent amount of health, 6,900. Not the most amazing for tier 9, but definitely a little bit better than other tier 9s. Now, she is a premium battleship. Technically, I think she would be more closer to a battle cruiser, especially with the caliber shells size that she currently has. Especially when compared to other tier 9 battleships, she is obviously not going to be able to do as much damage and penetrate that thick of armor. So that is something to keep in mind. Now, I like French battleships. You know, once you get past, well, really, it really comes down to once you get up to the Republic. The Republic's very, very fun. And I think they're a great tier to actually push. Especially, I've had many instances where I'm able to push because the secondaries and very fast reloading guns, and keep in mind these are 26-second reload time on these guns, and granted they may not be the most punchy of shells, nor are they the most reliable as far as accuracy. As you can see, the dispersion is still kind of wonky. And that's always has been an issue for a lot of the French battleships, is their dispersion is extremely wonky, and then you get the Republic and it's just fantastic. You have very little issue. So as we can see, the enemy team is pushing quite heavily over to the A side. Now unfortunately in this replay we're not going to be seeing any actual carriers, which would be nice because their AA non-buff, this is just basic as is, are pretty darn decent. The 4.5 kilometer range AA guns, they have an average damage of 357 damage per second. Then the 5 km is 177, and then your long range is, or your other mid range slash short range. And look at that triple citadel on the Iowa. And I just gave it crap about its guns. Right there, as you can see, the reload rate is very quick. Very quick. And he is able to do a very significant amount of damage against that Iowa. Probably is regretting that he was showing a lot of broadside there. So her AA is fantastic. Her secondaries are fairly decent. She actually has quite a bit of secondaries. I'm actually going to go ahead and pop this up because I actually like seeing how far the secondaries. Now I don't know how he spec'd his captain, so I can't really say as far as that fact, but I would probably honestly spec it more towards the guns than anything else, because having the ability of having these very fast firing guns, and keep in mind the consumable reloads very quickly at the current state, so it's very potent, and that's why it's very viable to ensure that you have your guns going in the proper target. And that Iowa is so lucky to, well, not anymore, but was very lucky not to get killed there. It left him very low on health at that moment. So at the moment there's kind of a standstill. The enemy team has pushed quite heavily on the western front. They push around the ACAP, and I've done that against teams in my Republic, so it's a very viable option. But as you can see, we have a ship that smoked up, and I was actually not paying attention, so this will be actually somewhat of a surprise. So at the moment, all he's gonna have to really rely on is surface detect, and it's a Minotaur. Triple Citadel, he popped his reload module, and almost instantly takes down that Minotaur, actually with the assistance of the Chungbu. But as you can see, with that module in place, his reload is very quick. Let's see, next salvo out, 10 seconds, and that goes on for about 15 to 20 seconds, so very quick time on that reload. You can at least get 2 to 3 salvos out in about 30 seconds, so very quick time. Now he's definitely pushing quite hard. Enemy team is weak on this side, but at the exact same time the friendly team is weak on the northern side, but he is pushing out quite heavily, which is going to be a major problem for him, because obviously he's going to be the main focus. Fletcher is a main target. Good riddance to that Fletcher. Now unfortunately for him, he has come up against a tier 9 USN cruiser who has decided to come out broadside. I do see this happening quite a bit, and it's probably just due to the fact trying to get all 12 guns out at one time. And granted, these are much smaller caliber guns, they still consider a USN cruiser if they show a lot of broadside. But as soon as that USN cruiser turns away, the Jean Bart does seem to struggle, as you will see here in a moment. Here in a couple seconds, he does have another of the reload. He pops it immediately, and it is 30 seconds, so in 30 seconds he's able to get 3 salvos out. That was kind of very rush shot there. Does get a ricochet, but doesn't do a lot of damage. But at the moment, he's in a very dangerous position. He's taken a significant amount of damage. Granted, it is more than likely mostly fire damage, so he should be able to heal that off. But he has at least another 20 seconds before that repair comes off cooldown. And he is trying to be cautious, and he does actually manage to disappear, which is fantastic, because that Buki, if he does set a fire, it will mean the death of him. And there we go, kill number 2. And overall, he's done fairly significant amount of damage, 196,241. Now, as all French cruisers are very well known for, they're designed to be fast battleships. And that is the same case with the Jean Bart. She does have a 30 knot speed, but I don't know if I would really get her. Because the Richelieu is, I mean, it's an okay ship, but it's not the most amazing thing in the world. And unfortunately for him, there is a enemy Yugo that does pop up, and it looks like it is a smoke Yugamo, which is extremely beneficial because that means no additional torpedoes, but it did look like there was just one set. He does have his repair on, or available at this time. He's playing a very dangerous game with this Yug, but the Yug does launch his last set of torpedoes. That Yugamo is no longer capable of dropping any additional torpedoes, and so his attention is going to be focusing on the enemy Ibuki. And very nice, Ibuki goes down to that combination of the Citadel and the Republic, and now the enemy team is just crumpling apart. They still have their Republic and their Conqueror, and the Conqueror honestly hasn't taken that much amount of damage. And honestly, I think the enemy team, especially the tier 10 battleships, probably should have been a bit more aggressive. They've just allowed the enemy team to come back and push against them. But I mean, at this time, there's very little the enemy team can do. Friendly team has 2 caps. They are currently working on getting the B cap, but yes, very little they can actually in fact do. But I don't know how I feel about those Jean Bart. It is once again a work in progress, so that's something to always keep in mind. But it's interesting. I would definitely try her out. I would play her. It's a tier 9. It does have a unique consumable, which I think is interesting. Even if it's once again a gimmick coming from Wargaming. It's an interesting idea, because especially since destroyers had it, the battleships, at least the Jean Bart, finally gets it, and the enemy team is going to lose this here in a moment. Not able to kill everything, but not a bad game for him in the Jean Bart, that's for sure. I will have to say, Mr. Ton, great job. Good amount of damage. As you can see, the enemy team earned a victory, 256,822. Really nice there. 9 citadels, 2 kills. So very, very, very nice on the Jean Bart's part. Even though it was a tier 10 battle, he did a really fantastic job. 2,928 basic speed, 47,000 against the Buffalo. Armor piercing obviously was the main thing. I, once again, always fire AP whenever you're in a battleship. Very rarely would I ever recommend HE for battleships. So overall, not bad. Damage wise, very, very nice. It was definitely spread across the board. Obviously, you didn't earn any medals because it was a work in progress, a test ship. So you don't earn any medals off that. But I don't know. I don't know how I feel. I think it's a really cool idea. Granted, I'm just not a big fan of... I like the look of the ship. The ship is beautiful. Don't get me wrong. I just don't like the fact that the ship only has 380mm guns. And they do struggle. Like the Alsace, I mean, granted at times can do a significant amount of damage. Against cruisers, fantastic. But against battleships, you do struggle to actually get any citadels. And that's kind of what the Alsace really faced. But the Alsace actually had an additional turret. So that definitely helped out quite a bit. But anyways, this is going to be it for this video. On my thoughts on the Jean Bart, I'm still work in progress, so I can't really say for certain, and I would like to personally try it out before I can really say whether or not you should get it. I might. I mean, I like the French battleships, I like the French cruisers. Maybe I'll like the French destroyers if they ever come out. But anyways, we'll see. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like what you saw, hit the like and subscribe button. You guys have a great and fantastic day. Zai Jen.